All right, we are recording this, I think, head up against Raw as of we're recording.
Yeah.
Raw in Paris. We are recording the day after the Clash in Paris, so Paul got to watch that show. I watched it as well last night. Keela Cash and Salty Scott and myself, we did the post show that is live on our YouTube channel. That was recorded live. It is now on our YouTube channel. It is also in the audio feed. If you haven't heard that, I would say a very fine lame duck peacock show, which featured some good stuff. Like, depending on what you thought about the Becky Lynch and Nikki match, if you didn't like that match, then yeah, there were two matches kind of in the middle that weren't the best, but otherwise there were four other matches that I thought did a really good job at what they were trying to do. So a nice little swan song for WWE on Peacock.
Yeah. I thought honestly one of the better shows for international shows that they've done. I normally these shows are like, like you'll get you'll get the awesome crowds, but it's like nothing really happens on the shows, and a lot of times they're not even like that important. And we had this discussion, and you even mentioned it on the post show last night. Like you didn't, you thought ultimately it wasn't other than the Becky angle, it wasn't like really it was an important show. But I kind of looked at it differently because you had John Cena wrestling, you had Roman Reigns wrestling, you had CM Punk wrestling. I mean, arguably their three biggest stars.
They moved
Oh,
Cody off of the show though to
they
save
did.
it.
Well, did they, or was it because he had a baby? Like I'm wondering, like if
Well, I mean, there's a
everyone is,
lot. He's doing a lot of things. He had a
yeah,
child. He's
yeah,
doing the Street Fighter thing right now. So there's reason to move it.
yeah.
But if they thought Clash in Paris was the show that they needed him on, I'm sure they would have
Oh,
figured it out.
yeah. Although the timing was good. I guess obviously for the welcoming the new baby and everything. But I mean, we all assumed this when they took that match off this show that, oh yeah, that's probably because they want to save it for Wrestlepalooza, which we'll talk about later. But like you had all those things. You did have Becky and Nikki, which I'm sure that in their minds they thought was a big match because Nikki Bella's, in the real world is a bigger star than she probably is in the wrestling world. And I think that those fans would have rather seen Io Sky,
Mm-hmm.
Rhea Ripley,
Mm-hmm.
even Lyra Valkyria, like somebody that they see on TV every week that they see as a big star. And when they looked at Nikki Bella, either they didn't know her or they didn't like her. And
I'm sure they knew her because she was such a big part of WWE for a very long time. But I think it's kind of what you said, which is they wanted to see the stars who they're following now, not the stars of yesteryear necessarily. Though you could then say, I mean, there's an interesting parallel, right? Which is the thing that Becky keeps harping on in this promo to build up this match is the John Cena thing.
Mhm.
Now, John Cena was also on this show, and he got like the biggest hero's welcome of all time.
Well, yeah, but number one, John Cena is on the show, most weeks. And also he brings back good memories, whereas Nikki Bella brings back memories of an era where, yeah, they were moving to improve things for the women, but it was still that Divas era. It was still usually bad matches, and you get your one segment a show at that time. It was kind of like what AEW was up until about a year or two ago, where like it was like they were checking a box. We have to have a women's match in the show. It's not going to be very good, but it'll be over quick. Like that's kind of the memories that you have of Nikki Bella. Like but she helped bridge that gap to get them to where they are now. I don't want to take that away from her, but I think when the fans look at her, that's what they remember, if they remember her at all. And whereas with John Cena, yeah, when he started, he was being shoved down their throats and people rejected him and everything, but he pushed through that and he became a legitimate big star and one of the better, honestly, like people will tell you this, and I'll even agree, and although some people still disagree, one of the better workers of of his era, like for what he did. Obviously he's lost a bit now, and he's using more selling and psychology. And even then, like his last 2 matches have been the 2 best matches he's had in years. So, he's figuring out a way to do it now. Whereas Nikki Bella is, like she's trying, but
You
it's just
you say one of the best workers, and what is his fatal flaw as a pro wrestler in the ring? His punches have always been terrible,
yeah,
and
yeah.
his finishing move forever was the STFU, which was the worst submission finisher maybe in the history of pro wrestling. And I almost blame how big his arms are, because his arms are so big to try and wrap them around a neck, but he just wouldn't pull back the way that you're supposed to do it. It didn't look intense. It looked so soft. But here's an interesting thing about the John Cena run. We know people who disagree with this idea that John Cena is the GOAT or the Babe Ruth or whatever. And they look at it as wrestling took a precipitous drop in popularity during John Cena's entire run as the top guy. And so what do you demerit him? And what do you say, well, there's a longevity piece, and maybe without John Cena, it drops even faster and harder, and they didn't have anybody else. If it was, the end of the Triple H reign and it was just continual Triple H and there was no John Cena, or whomever they wanted to use, Batista had a nice run there, but whomever could have been the John Cena of that time frame, maybe you push Jericho even harder. But yeah, there are people who say, great, you're the most popular wrestler on on a brand that was just being cut in half as far as popularity was concerned.
Well, when you look at that, I think what a lot of people like, what they'll do is they'll look at the Attitude Era and all the numbers that WWE and WCW is pulling there, and then they'll look, oh, and 10 years later when John Cena was on top, they're doing what they're doing, but what they're ignoring is the fact that bad run that they had actually started before John Cena. And like what happened was the Steve Austin heel turn and the WCW disappearing was what ended up like where all the fans went. And when you look at John Cena's run, like the numbers actually were good, like, and they maintained for years. And it wasn't until 2014 when they started to really dip again, and that was the onset of the WWE network. And whereas I think a lot of people at that time, when you got the WWE network, it actually, in some ways, I feel like people stopped watching the current product because they could see the older stuff in one way. And then the other thing is CM Punk left. And when CM Punk left, you saw an immediate decline of people that came back in 2021 when he went to AEW. That's where they got all those people back. So it's kind of the way you look at it. And ticket sales, they were always up for the big shows, and the house shows weren't that great. And yeah, that's definitely a strike against John Cena. But overall, I don't think you can say he was anything but you could see the difference in the shows when he was there and when he wasn't. Roman, I think you can say definitely for the first 4 or 5 years when he was being pushed as a top guy, you definitely saw a decline.
Mm-hmm.
With Cena, he maintained. It didn't grow, but he definitely maintained, because the big decline happened right before he became the guy.
Yeah, and I have nothing against Cena. I've always been a pretty big fan of
his. I
his.
know you have. You're always very fair to him as well. And that the thing about the punches and that, like, yeah, but I talk to people in the business, workers, longtime researchers, promoters, people we know, they'll all say, he's a good worker. Like but it's like there's just certain things that people like to pick apart about him, and the fans rode him, and he pushed through it.
The match with Logan Paul, by the way, which I really, really enjoyed. But
Yeah.
I enjoy John Cena matches both for, the good stuff and the bad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he did the worst Styles Clash I've ever seen in that match. And
Is that what that was? Okay.
yeah,
I
and so,
wasn't sure.
Joe Gilbert in our Discord, who is kind of the lead person in all the WWE content because he's such a giant fan. He creates all the threads for all the shows. And when I wrote that, he's like, what do you expect, man? The guy has no knees. He couldn't even jump into it. I was like, yep, I know, because when he came out for his entrance, he did the thing that I do, which is you kind of walk a little on your tiptoes a little bit, and you can't really bend your knees because they're so stiff. And so you kind of stiff leg the whole thing. I was like, I know that move, John. I do that move every once and again. So, but really, shout out to him for, I don't know whose idea it was to turn him back from heel to babyface, but it was, and look, the way that they did it was so bad, but at the same time, I'm so happy we get this version of John Cena to end his career, because that heel version was maybe the worst version that I'd ever seen. Going back to the beginning, maybe the very, very beginning when he was, neon pants John Cena or whatever we call it. Like, I very much enjoyed kind of the gradualness of his character. And when he became the top guy, he kind of had to lean into being a little bit more cuddly and a little bit more fan friendly and less edgy. And then he turns heel, and it was just the most boring version of his character that I'd seen. So I'm so happy to see that this version is back, and we get to see that guy kind of go on the run to end his career, because the Cody match, hardcore wrestling fans, you're going to hate me for saying this, but the Cody match is my favorite match of the year so far. Now, I'm not saying it's the best in any way. The Cody match with John Cena at SummerSlam, not the best match of the year. It's not going to win the best match of the year award in the Observer Awards.
It'll get votes. It'll
get some votes.
Yeah.
But it's my favorite match because I have a tie to that guy, right? I have a link to that guy, and to see him turn back the clock and have that kind of performance, and at the same time put Cody over to help ascend Cody as the next guy. I just thought that was a tremendous performance. But yeah, it's no Will Ospreay doing a Spanish fly off the top of the cage or anything at Revolution. So as we kind of put Clash in Paris in the rear view, you felt that it was a little bit more of an important show than I did. And the way that I look at this stuff, and we were talking kind of offline, and I was like, if you have 13 PLEs and some of them are 2-night events, and then you have a bunch of these Saturday night main events, and then you have stuff like the Netflix Raw. Like, you have so many big shows, and when you have so many big shows, like, not everything can be important. Like this Becky heel turn, I could argue that it would have been more impactful on Raw than on this show. Now, from a crowd reaction standpoint, it worked tremendously well in front of these crowds. They didn't see it coming. They were so much so that when she was in the ring in the black in the black clothing, they didn't react at all. And I made a joke last night on the post show that for a second I was like, oh, they got Marina. They took Marina from AEW. I can't believe these jerks. But no, then I was like, okay, now I understand what's going on here. But once the reveal happened, the crowd's into it. I could tell just by the way she was teasing Face Tat Bros, Post Malone and Jelly Roll. She's going to have so much fun doing this character with her husband.
Oh,
yeah. She's going to have a blast.
Yeah. And I mean, I think even personally, like, she's probably going to enjoy, getting her hands on CM Punk a little bit, and him not being allowed to hit her back. that'll be fun. And there's some, I mean, obviously these people are all professionals, and they're going to work together, and I don't expect anything to go awry, but there's some real feelings there too, that, for years, like Becky and Seth were keeping the fort in WWE, where John Cena left and then he went to AEW. And yeah, like Seth will overdo it and say, oh, you tried to kill us and all this. And that's, I mean, obviously that's not what he was doing. And Seth doesn't really believe that, but he was there being a competitor and trying to build a company that was trying to take over their spot. I mean, realistically, I think Seth and Becky are both smart enough to know that the best thing for everybody is a strong AEW. They're making a lot more money now than they were before, or that they would be if there was no AEW. So they get that. And with Punk, and in the day when drawing money, quote unquote, is an outdated concept, drawing interest is something that this can do. And yeah, she's gonna have a blast. um I mean, I saw you guys talking last night about whether or not she should be a permanent part of this group, or whether it should just be a special thing that they do once in a while. I think she should be,
I want to
like,
see her in it. I want to see
yeah,
her with Heyman.
yeah.
I want to see Heyman do the whole spiel about who she is and
I
really bring up those accolades, right? Because if
Yeah.
if someone can bring that out and remind people who Becky
Mhm.
is, it's Paul Heyman.
And not her. Like, when she rattles off her resume and, "Oh, Sports Illustrated calls me the best, blah, blah, blah," it means something else when Paul Heyman does it, whereas opposed to Becky, who a lot of times she'll go out there, she's by herself, she's got a mic, she's doing a monologue to the crowd, she starts talking really fast, and she says this, and Becky goes, like, she gets frantic. As soon as someone comes out there for her to bounce off of, the promo, like, increase, like, gets 3 times better. And so if she's in there as part of a group where she only has to talk for a minute or two, and then Heyman's doing all the legwork for her, and then she can just stand there and be the man. Um, yeah, that I think is something that I'm looking forward to. And I think she complements that group really, really well. And I see people comparing it to the Death Riders. I mean, that's not at all what this is, because number one, Seth and Becky are presented as equals. They're not, like, John Moxley has no equal in the Death Riders. They're John Moxley's Death Riders. In this, you've got Seth and Becky are at the top, and then you've got Bronson and Braun as the people that they're bringing up, and they're supposed to be the next star. So it's almost like evolution.
It is, yeah. I was gonna say it is
Yeah.
more compare. You can compare it more closely to Evolution for the reason, but from a from a visual perspective, I understand why people are like, "Oh, you have now you have the female wrestler in the group,
Yeah.
and you have the younger wrestler in the group." But I mean, 100 times out of 100, I'm taking Braun Breaker over Wheeler Yuta, and I like Wheeler Yuta, like,
And
but
Claudio and Bronson are not really comparable.
what the thing about it is this group Vision, I don't like that name, by the way,
No, it's terrible.
is it, at least from the outset, it looked like a vehicle for Braun Breaker to eventually turn on Seth Rollins, and I think that's probably still going to be the
Mhm.
case. I made a joke that they need to bring up Izzy Dame, so Braun Breaker has his lady along for the
Oh, is that
ride.
who he's dating now?
I think so.
Oh, okay. I know it
Um,
used to be Cora, but
Yeah, so this is gonna be fun, and as I mentioned, we're recording this as Raw is going on, so there could be something that happens at Raw that we don't know about right now. But I am looking forward to that promo to which I'm guessing they kick off, or maybe it's they save it for the end. But I can't wait to see what they do with Seth and Becky on day one.
yeah, and what is next? And I mean, and you guys talked about that last night, and I thought there were some hints that they dropped on the show. With Seth, it wasn't like like, it was on camera, but he didn't have a microphone, but he said it so that we could hear it. I hate you, I hate your stupid family. I mean, where'd that come from? Like, there's the family of CM Punk has never been brought up. So that leads one to believe, okay, well, who's the only family we know about is Larry the dog and AJ. And so if it's AJ, I mean, that's intriguing, and that, I mean, to me, like, it seems obvious that we're going to get that mixed tag, and Wrestlepalooza feels like the place to do it, because that's a match that people will be interested in
There is a
beyond.
crossover
Yes,
audience who may not always watch WWE who will try and find out how to watch that show.
exactly. Yeah. And it'll word of mouth on the internet, things like that. even people that watch AEW are going to be intrigued by something like that, because people have wanted AJ Lee in AEW. Like I've back and forth heard it over the years. It's not like it was with, well, actually in some ways maybe even more than Soraya. In some ways, it's not like a groundswell or anything, but you see and hear it here and there.
All right, let's move on to the AEW side of this, because now we are 3 weeks away,
Yeah.
and I think I may be overstating this, and I said this last night. I don't ever want to see this again, but I'm sure we're gonna see it many times in the future. But I am so interested in the strategy from both sides and how they build this first real head-to-head show. This is not NXT. This is not Saturday Night's Main Event. It is our big promotional vehicle versus your big promotional vehicle, and it's like this collision course. And I'm really excited to see how each side attacks and how each side positions their show. My concern, and I think some of this is because AEW fans are just they're just a little, maybe they're a little worried and they want to pretend that the other side doesn't really exist. But I've said from the start that I want Tony to go full force on this thing. I want him to, pull out all his promotional chops, all his booking chops. And I'll share this photo in the video. I want to see this version of Tony Khan. Short sleeves, flexing the biceps a little bit, wearing the dark sunglasses, like the little cocky billionaire version of Tony Khan, because like he doesn't want to be the pushover. Like I'm sure he is not, he feels disrespect. He has to feel disrespect. He's human, that they keep attacking his stuff. But at the same time, I think he has to feel a sense of pride that they've tried NXT, they've tried Saturday Night's Main Event, and none of those things have worked so far. So now they have to go to ESPN and whatever Wrestlepalooza is going to be, this created show out of thin air. And there's got to be some pride that he's taking in that, look, you guys say you don't care about us, but you pay attention to us more so than anybody. And so that's what I'm super excited about. I want to see the business of both companies as they approach this show. Okay, so now we'll talk about what a possible Wrestlepalooza card could be in a second. But what I wanted to do was read off what AEW is doing so far. Now, this is still 3 weeks out. They have scheduled for the September 17th Dynamite. They have scheduled something that they are calling September to Remember. And it is a 3-hour block. So you have the 2-hour Dynamite and you have the 1-hour Collision. And I'm guessing that thing's going to have probably a 20-minute overrun. So it'll probably be more like a 3-hour and 20-minute show. And so that is going to be their go home television for All Out. So they are, obviously they don't want Collision necessarily to be that like funky Saturday show. So they sometimes they put it on Thursday. This time they are putting 1 hour of it on the back end of Dynamite. So that is one thing that they are doing. The second thing that they have scheduled is a 1 hour Saturday tailgate brawl. All Out. That is the title of this show. And it is scheduled for 1 hour prior to the pay-per-view. So it looks like instead of that YouTube or wherever you're getting the pay-per-view where you have that pre-show, it looks like they're doing that pre-show on TNT, heading it, and they'll say, here's how you get your pay-per-view. And one other thing that we haven't talked about yet, and this is one thing I'm not 100% certain about, which is the idea of the HBO Max pay-per-views. Supposedly, there is a press release or there is some information that is scheduled to come out about that capability to purchase a pay-per-view on the HBO Max streaming network. So those three things are kind of bubbling. And those are business things. Those are marketing things. Those are promotional things that Tony Khan is doing. So I'm happy. I didn't want him to try and no sell this WWE show. And I've talked about how I also want to see from a booking standpoint, like, what does he think are his like great tricks up his sleeve for matches? You know, that fan base is specifically about the matches. So what are your thoughts on what AEW has done so far?
It's interesting. We were wondering, we talked a lot about this last week about, how they would fight back and, whether it's going to be loading up a card and doing like a WrestleMania or an all in type card against WWE, or what could they do? And we're starting to see that a little bit now. That bit you mentioned about the ability to purchase, supposedly, and the information that came out was that would go into effect on September 20th.
Yeah.
So this theoretically would be the first show that you could purchase on HBO Max.
We haven't
Um,
seen that
no,
from
no,
them yet. And
yeah,
there is a danger in doing that, by the way. If this thing bonks, it's the worst time in the world for this thing to
yeah.
bonk.
Well, we're looking at this in the frame of AEW and WWE, but this is also TNT against ESPN. Like, these are the two biggest cable networks out there. They're basically the last two standing. They're the only two networks that consistently do any kind of ratings other than
Cable
cable
networks
news.
that have worked together, though, ESPN has licensed games
Yeah,
to Warner
yeah,
Brothers,
yeah.
so there's a relationship there. But yeah, you're right. They are two of the more successful cable networks still left remaining.
And this will be, I believe, the first major event on the ESPN platform. I mean, it's live now, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there was college football. They
yeah.
wanted to get the thing out right before
But
I
but
guess week
everything
0 of college football.
everything they're airing though is stuff that you can get on the regular station, right?
I believe so. I think
Yeah,
so.
so this would be theoretically the first event. Well, there's probably college football games that aren't on ESPN that are on this app, I would think.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
imagine
yeah.
it's kind of like the ESPN Plus thing where all
But
of
but
these games are that you can buy if you had the subscription. Those are probably all on
this
ESPN.
will be like a major event though. Something that, like, I imagine at some point they'll have an NFL game that you have to have ESPN, the app to get, or something like, so this will be like, their ESPN's gonna be promoting this. Obviously TNT, if they're debuting their pay-per-view thing, they'll be promoting it. And all of a sudden, I imagine you're going to see a lot less promotion of Prime on the AEW broadcast.
You know
But
what
yeah.
though? Amazon Prime, like if I was them,
Mhm.
I would keep them in very high standing because the future of Warner Brothers, uh whatever these two companies are named, I forget the name, because the future of what's going on is kind of still not solidified and is very much up in the air. Amazon Prime is a good partner to keep happy because there are enough subscribers to Amazon Prime where if they wanted to give you, let's say something happens to Warner Brothers or they get sold off or whatever, and there's a better deal for AEW to go to Amazon Prime, they would obviously lose viewership,
Mhm.
100%. But there is enough, there are enough subscribers to where you get people to populate over, then or you could maybe you sell your pay-per-view rights to Amazon similarly. But Tony Khan has been very adamant
Oh,
that he doesn't want to do anything to upset
nope.
Warner Brothers.
I'm not negotiating with anyone, he said. Like, I've had offers for Ring of Honor, but I'm not taking any offers that aren't from WWD. What a negotiator this guy is. That's not the same guy you showed earlier.
I yeah, there's got to be a reason, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's probably the reason that we all think is because they have a piece of the company. And is that the thing that he doesn't want to come out in this lawsuit with
I, I mean, I he's all but admitted it. So unless there's some other part of this that he doesn't want out, like, there's pieces of information that I've heard that, like, I don't think would be great. Like, it would be embarrassing, is not the right word, but it's stuff that people wouldn't want to hear, that could be tied to Ring of Honor, and I'm not suggesting anything nefarious or anything like that, but just and people have their set notions about what the idea of Ring of Honor is and why Tony bought it
Mm-hmm.
and what his intentions are and even what its place is. I mean, it's this company that produces like 3 shows a year, and other than that, they're just televising, the shows that they used to put on YouTube and charging people $10 a month to watch them, and suckers like me are paying it. Although I cancel it now between the shows, so I really only pay for the the whatever you call them, PLEs, or
Mm-hmm.
I think they call them Honor Club exclusives because they don't want to use the term PLE. And they can't call it a pay per view, even though Tony still calls it a pay per view. But yeah, so this company, I mean, you want to say AEW is making money. Ring of Honor is losing a lot of money. Like, there's no way. Like, you look at that lineup they had, they had like 50 people on that card on Friday. They had 900 people in the building. They have, they put the show up for free on YouTube. They gave everybody a month free. They lost their freaking ass on that show, but it doesn't matter because it's part of AEW and AEW makes money supposedly. So I shouldn't say supposedly. I think they do, but Tony himself said hopefully. So
I
I
think
don't
he
know.
just because he's a private company and
Yeah, he doesn't want
he
to.
doesn't want people
Yeah.
fishing in his business and
Put it this way, I think they're making money, but I don't think they're making as much money as what Dave estimated at the beginning of the year. Like, I think there's a lot more to it than just, hey, we doubled our media rights, so we double, we're making all this money now. Like, he's spending a lot more than he used to. But they're still making money.
all right. Is there any based off of Wednesday's Dynamite?
Hmm.
Where do you sense they're going with Hangman?
I think it's gonna be Hangman and Kenny Omega. That's it's not like they told us that, but they kind of put him in a position where this could be the outcome. I think that they'll end up doing like an eliminator match where it's going to be Kenny Omega against a member of the Don Callis family. And the idea would be that, oh, Paige is going to be facing whoever that is. And in reality, Hangman or Kenny will win, and then it'll be Kenny and Hangman. So you got Kenny challenging for the belt in Toronto. You've got or you could even maybe like you do Kenny and Josh Alexander is the match, let's say, and maybe goes to a DQ or something like that, and they do a 3-way.
Okay,
I wouldn't do that, but
The Josh Alexander who finally got a win the other day
yeah,
after
like
just losing all of these matches.
the only reason I'm suggesting that is because people are talking about it. I wouldn't do it. I think it's a negative to add him to the match. Um, the only other bigger, like obviously Takeshita or Okada against Hangman would be bigger, but I don't think they're doing that right now. It just doesn't feel like that at all.
In a sense,
Fletcher as well. Fletcher would be another one.
the Hangman having the strap kind of handicaps them here because I'll tell you what I wanted to see when those two guys got back together. I was like, oh, I want to see him against the Bucks again. That would be so
Oh,
fun.
yeah, yeah.
But
Well, you're going to see that
you
this
want a
week.
world title match on that. Yeah,
Yeah.
they are going to be in that multi-person match. But the problem also is even though the Bucks still win almost every time, they are still played for chuckles and laughs. But you do have you do have that is the that is the elite match, right? Like those are the four guys. So that would be a really cool thing. And, I think it would give people all the feels in a sense, but you need a world title match. I still think we're going to see Hangman, MJF, and Briscoe in some way.
Mm.
But the problem with this though, see, in my mind, I bookmark Briscoe much more strongly than Tony Khan does. Cause then what happened on Collision? Did they face each other on Collision yet? Briscoe and Kyle Fletcher?
No, so that match, my sense is that it might be the last show that they do in
Okay.
Philly.
Okay.
Like, so that would be like the week and a half before the pay-per-view.
Okay. So
I mean, he could beat Kyle. I mean, wouldn't be the worst idea. I wouldn't do it, but you know, and then what? Like he's gonna defend against MJF? I don't know. Like
Or MJF interferes,
yeah.
gets disqualified. Kyle gets disqualified, and then somehow they create a match out of that. But I don't know. But just
I don't think MJF and Hangman are gonna be in the ring together at all out. I just
but the reason I would add Mark is so that MJF doesn't take another pinfall.
right. And I've said this a few times, but I think where they're going with MJF and Briscoe is a little bit longer than that. And I think it's gonna be Briscoe's gonna win that ring from him. And that we're only a couple months away from that. You know, the Dynamite doesn't Battle Royal, and then he'll get a title shot that way. And then it'll be Hangman and Briscoe for the title in a shot that Mark Briscoe earned from MJF, which, you know, means something.
And did you sense from Dynamite that Edge and Christian and FTR was better without the titles, worse without the titles? Does it matter?
I don't think it matters. So in that sense, it's probably better that it's not for the titles, because then you can have another important match that involves the titles. It had a lot more heat than I was expecting it to have.
I like that opening segment, even though
Yeah,
production issues, of course.
They had another one on Collision too. That was you know, Dak. It wasn't like Edge and Christian weren't there, but Dax and Cash had major heat. People do not like those guys, and that's good.
The one flaw in this plan is that the tag team champions are like the fourth most over team in the company.
Off the top of my head, I can't even remember who they are. Oh, Brodito. Yeah. So we're probably gonna get Brodito and the Bucks. I would think at All Out, that'll be incredible. We saw that once already, I think. So you know that we'll have that. We'll probably have Kyle Fletcher against, you know, somebody. I mean, it doesn't matter who it is. It'll be great. Okada, you know, will sleepwalk his way through a 4-star match, and you know, like, so I'm sure the thing is gonna be good. Hurt Syndicate and Gates of Agony. I mean, you know, I had an interesting argument with someone today about Ricochet, and talking about the question isn't whether he's better off in AEW than he was in WWE. The question is he in I said he's in the exact same place on the card as he was in WWE. The difference is he's having a lot more fun.
Yeah, he's happier.
And he's a lot more fun to watch.
And he's probably made more money.
For sure. But in actuality, like, he's in the exact same spot on the card.
Well, he is now more of a court jester, and allowed to show off his personality, which is probably a lot more fun.
Chad Gable. He's their Chad Gable. It's exactly what he is. And people don't want to hear that, and that's fine, because Chad Gable's got a very entertaining position.
He's very valuable. You can put Chad Gable in any segment and he makes it better. I don't know if that is the same for Ricochet, because I know he grates on people's nerves in a bad way sometimes. But to the hardcore fan base of AEW, they love that stuff. So he's perfect for that.
And you can say the same thing about Chad Gable. For the WWE fans, they love it. But for the people that aren't WWE fans, they look at, what a waste of Chad Gable.
Yeah, it's more a waste rather than like, oh, he's annoying.
Right. But it's the same negative feeling. So yeah, I think we'll see that. And you know, that's a pretty full card right there. I think we named like 8 matches. We didn't talk about the women. I mean, I don't know what's going on with Mercedes. You know, there's nothing obvious. I guess, well, Alex Windsor is actually but then they're doing that match already this coming week. So
yeah,
unless Alex wins and they do a rematch, like,
is it a non-title match or is it a title match?
I think it's a title match. I think. And then Tony, I think I'm not even 100% positive what they're doing with Tony. Like, you know, Athena is the person she's feuding with. I actually know, you know what? I think it's Tekla. They set up it looks like it's gonna be Tekla. Tekla and her group had a really, like, they beat down Tony and her partner, and they stood strong at the end of Collision. It was actually a really good angle at the end of Collision. So in fact, I would recommend, I don't know if you're going to watch the whole show, but I watched the last 10 minutes of Collision. It was awesome. All right, you'll love it. Tekla stood strong. It was amazing.
All right, let's end this by talking about what could WWE do. We've done a lot of talk about what can AEW do, what card could they put on to compete and to, you know, show their steal some of that visibility from WWE. we know Brock and Cena,
Mhm.
more than likely Cody and Drew.
Mhm.
And then whatever this Punk Seth, Becky, AJ Lee thing, whatever comes out of that, there's probably a strong idea for a match there between a mix of them. And so I was looking like, okay, well, what about everybody else? If you were looking like, let's say, so on Clash in Paris, they had 6 matches. I imagine they're probably going to match. I don't know this for sure. I would imagine they're going to match AEW's 1 hour, and they're going to try and put a match on to just compete because that's what they do. So maybe you do get an 8th match on this show. And so, because I was thinking 7, because I think they're going to go past the 4-hour mark. They're not going to allow AEW to run a long card and get a lot of really maybe all of, but the main event will be the only thing that is not competed against. So let's say 7, let's say +1, let's say 8 matches for Wrestlepalooza. We have 3, and those 3 are long matches there. They're going to go long. I'm going to give you a list of wrestlers, and you tell me yay or nay if you think that they will be on the show, as well as if it is a yay, who they could possibly face. And
Okay.
let's start with Tiffany Stratton.
I'd say yay, and probably against Jade.
Okay.
And maybe that would be like on that 1 hour pre-show or whatever you're gonna call it, that extra hour.
Okay. Dom Mysterio.
Uh, Possibly. I mean, it really depends on what happens today, and also this at
A week
Worlds
before
Worlds
in
Collide. Yeah,
Las Vegas.
yeah. So I'd say maybe.
For that
And
reason, I'm going to say he won't actually have a match because he is kind of doing a lot in
yeah,
the middle and in between this pay-per-view cycle. Sami Zayn.
well, he just won the U.S. title, so yeah, and it's in Canada. Oh no, it's not in Canada. That's right. Where's this show? Uh,
Indianapolis.
Indianapolis. I'll say nay. I say they're gonna put him on the SmackDown before,
Do
but
we
not
do
on the
did
actual
was
show.
there I mean, you can always do a rematch.
You can do a rematch. You can do a tag.
Rematch
Him and
feels SmackDown-y though to me.
exactly, yeah. So it would be like the SmackDown before the pay-per-view, probably.
Charlotte and Alexa.
They're the tag champs, right?
Yeah.
Uh, you could do Charlotte and Alexa against Asuka and Kyrie. That'd be a good match. Um, yeah, I'd say yes. Yes. If you're doing 8 matches, yes.
Bailey.
She's not going to wrestle, but she'll be on the show in some way.
Bianca Belair. Could she possibly return? I actually have no idea what her
I don't
diagnosis is.
think so. I don't think so. But
The Braun Bronze.
that's a tough one. I mean, obviously they're going to be there.
They'll be on the show as
Yeah.
seconds.
I mean, they could go for the tag team titles. Who are the Raw tag team champions? Is it JD and Finn? I think.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't like that match.
You know what I want to see? This is more of a super fantasy booking match, by the way. I want to see the Braun Bronze against Sheamus and Rusev.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'd be good. Or against the Lucha Bros.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna have them next.
Yeah.
Penta or Phoenix. Are they hurt? Like, what's going on with those guys?
No, Penta's is like on main event most weeks. Ray Phoenix as well. Like I don't know what's going on with them. Phoenix, I feel like they're going to do some sort of another multi tag team match for the SmackDown titles. So you could see Phoenix as part of that.
Mm-hmm. I think
you
Phoenix and Andrade are a great team. They're just kind of in that same mid-card mix as everyone else.
Yeah, like they're all great teams that do great matches, and they ultimately don't matter. It's like the Motor City Machine Guns, DIY, Street Profits. They're all in the same spot, and it's like a treadmill. And then the guys that have the belts are by far the worst team. But
okay, tag team champions, Judgment Day. We mentioned them.
Yeah, so I don't think those titles will be defended on the card.
Gunther.
I think he's going to be out for a while yet.
Okay, we talked about EO. No, we didn't talk about EO.
No, I
EO
think
or Rhea.
I think Io and Rhea and Stephanie in a 3-way for the Raw Women's title.
Is
That's what
that is that the announcement is supposed to happen today on Raw?
yeah, they're supposed to announce something today unless he pushes it back a week again, like he's done the last 2 weeks. But yeah, that's where I think that's going.
Jacob Fatu.
No, I don't think he'll be on the card.
Here was my other idea for the Braun Bronze. Jay and Jimmy.
That'd be a good match. I mean, I don't know how you get there. They're 2 different brands, but yeah, that'd be fun.
And they could have matching terry cloth shorts.
Oh God.
Jay got so much heat for those shorts last night.
Well, maybe he'll make a lot of money and sell some, but
I didn't care. Like they were plain Jane. I
Mhm.
didn't care really. But when I looked, I grabbed one of the photos from the show for a graphic on our YouTube channel, and it is very clear that he ass sweat through those shorts.
Oh no.
So they're just all sweat stained all over the place. Okay, LA Knight,
No.
Logan Paul.
Maybe, but I don't think they need him on this show, and I can't think of anything that they could do with him right now.
Randy Orton.
Oh man, gotta have Randy on the show, right? What's he doing? He's kind of feuding with Drew. You know what? He'll show up on the show. Maybe even turn on Cody.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing no Roman based on what I heard
No.
from Wrestling Observer.
I haven't heard Wrestling Observer, but I assumed from that angle that he's off till at least Perth.
They said his shooting for the Street Fighter movie, they think wraps after the pay-per-view.
After
Wrestlepalooza.
Oh, okay, yeah. Like I didn't even think it was that. I mean, Roman's got a contract where he only has to work a certain number of dates. So I always, whenever
I'm sure ESPN would want him though on that show.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they would. I mean, if they can do it, I just don't. I'm not expecting it. So
another thing I would do, and maybe this is actually the pre-show match, is if you are going to have AJ Lee on the show, you are probably going to have more women watching than normal. More women from 10 years ago watching than normal. Yeah. I would do something with the women in maybe a battle royal or maybe a multi-woman tag where you're showcasing a lot of the young NXT women who are really good. You know, Sol Ruka and Jada.
Jordan,
yeah, and Lola Vice. I would do something so that this audience just doesn't see that, like they're coming back for AJ, but then they go, oh, like there's way more athletic women wrestling on this show than I remember ever seeing, and that's really cool. That might make me tune in more. That's what I would do. So whether it's a battle royal or a multi-women match or whatever the best NXT match you could put out there, I would do that. The problem with doing it on the pre-show is the people who are tuning in for AJ might not watch the pre-show. But if you can do that, maybe if you can get it on the card as maybe like a second match or something. I don't know how you would do it, but I would like to showcase them in some way so that there's this older audience who goes, oh, like they've actually added way more women to the show. And these women are really, really good.
I just had a vision of a segment on NXT where Ava is talking about how she had a conference call with Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce, and she gets to pick 8 people from NXT to be in this battle royal, and she runs down all their accomplishments and he brings them all out, and Joe Gilbert loses his mind because it's a promo train. Yeah. Oh yeah, it writes itself.
No, it would be good.
So yeah, I like that idea.
So we have a couple of weeks where you and I are going to be talking a lot about the build up to these shows. So that'll be exciting for this show. You got Dynamite show with Jeff Hawkins coming on
he's actually going to be away this week. He's got some personal, not health related, he's fine. Just some personal stuff he has to do on Wednesday. So I don't know who's going to be co-hosting with me. Haven't figured that out yet.
You got to figure that one out.
Yeah.
But you'll be back Wednesday night in
Yeah.
the feed, Wednesday night, Thursday morning for you Dynamite show fans. And I didn't have my show with Big Dave on Friday, which I don't mind. Like I do like the break because it's a very intense Friday morning for me usually once that Observer gets posted. So I enjoyed the break, but I also had so many things that I wanted to ask him about on air. So I will be able to do that. I think we're back on this Friday, and then John LaRocca and I, of course, Thursday night we record for Friday morning on WrestlingObserver.com. We'll have our thoughts, and I'm sure he will be glowing about this Clash in Paris show, right up his alley as far as the pro wrestling that he likes. So we'll be able to talk a little bit about that as well.
And there's nothing this weekend, like nothing.
Good.
I know. I'm looking forward to it.
When's our UFC breakover?
Well, there's that UFC Noche and on the 13th, I think, and then but the next pay-per-view isn't until like October 6th.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So it's but there's nothing. No AEW, no WWE, not even a TNA show this weekend. There's nothing. So it's gonna be so nice.
Now you can just get all caught up.
I'm already caught up. I watched the Greek Town Pro Wrestling show last night.
I was wondering what that was.
Oh, it's awesome. It was like Joey Janela, PCO, and some dude named Channing Decker in the main event. Megan Bain and Allison Kay had a 4-star match in the co-main. It was awesome. Yeah, it's really good.
All right. So we'll be back next week to talk about more of the things that these companies are doing to compete against each other. So for Paul, I'm Double G. We will see you when we see you. Peace out.